But this whole death cult of be miserable your entire fucking life so that way you can enjoy infinite paradise after you die. It's a really evil concept, and it allows people to be controlled very easily.
So what's stopping you from enjoying yourself while you're alive in the body?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's against the law.
Or it's
immoral.
It's immoral,
illegal,
certainly.
Or it's unhealthy. Take your pick.
Right. Well, instead of celebrating spring and fecundancy and vitality and fertility, we have to celebrate some dude coming back from the dead, like a goddamn zombie, like Peter Griffin said in that Family Guy clip we just looked at.
No, like I said, if you want to enjoy your life and everything, go and do it, but you're going to offend somebody, and then the law is going to come down and say, "Oh, you can't do that." Well, I like 15-year-old girls. They're good virgins. So what if I'm 40? Oh no, that's against the law.
Harry, have you been looking into my internet search history again?
No, I don't care to. I got enough on my own plate.
Thank you once again for watching the New World Order broadcast, coming to you live from the end of the world. I am your host, the Hat Man. I am joined in the studio by Harry, the Tax Man, and a lot of people don't know this, but Harry is a huge fan of the holidays. He can't get enough of holidays. Every holiday, you are bouncing off the walls. You are giddy like a child. It's pretty amazing to see.
Yeah, and I got my shovel.
Well, what's your shovel for?
My shovel is called truth.
Ooh.
And I'm going to tell you the truth. And you people are going to find out what your foundation about your faith is totally about.
So obviously I was being a little facetious. You hate every single holiday, it seems, on the human calendar. Every time a holiday comes around, I can tell, like, your energy noticeably starts to dip down. You get a little sullen, and you're not very talkative. I mean, I wake up, I come out over here to our Freemason table, and there's no paperwork waiting for me to look over. So I know that you hate every holiday. It's obvious. Tell me why.
I don't hate the holidays. I think it's totally stupid because people celebrate things they don't even know.
They don't know where they come from, maybe.
I do.
You do. Okay. So isn't the point of a holiday, though, to give the peasant classes a break from their labors? I mean, back in medieval times or during the Renaissance, they were called feast days, right? Like in the 1500s, Henry VIII, when he was abolishing all of the monasteries, the Roman Catholic monasteries, because he said that they were screwing the people over, they were... what were they doing? They were counterfeit,
They
right?
were in competition with him. So, hey, get rid of the competition.
But I mean, the reason why Henry VIII had a revolution in Britain is mainly because, aside from the religious implications of abolishing the monasteries because of fraud, the big thing was he was taking away the peasantry's feast days. He wasn't giving them a break.
Well, that's called mental enslavement. Keep the peasants dumb.
But he was taking away their little mini vacations. Isn't that the point of a holiday, is to give the peasant class like a little break, a little vacation?
The holidays are meant to draw your attention away from what's really behind the curtain.
Oh, I
Like
see.
the Wizard of Oz,
Mm-hmm.
when Toto the little dog opens up the curtain
Uh-huh.
and showed who the wizard was.
Mm-hmm.
He was a magician.
Well, he was kind of like the anti-magician. He was showing everybody the way that the trick worked. I mean, the Wizard of Oz was the magician. He was the creator of the illusion. Toto was showing everybody the trick, you know?
Yep.
But I mean, I kind of agree that the peasants should just keep working. I don't think they should be getting vacation. I don't think they should be getting feast days. I think they should work to make me more money. And how many national holidays do we have that everybody's required to get off? It's like 7 or 8 now, isn't it?
Maybe more. And every time they're going to add one to it.
It's getting a little ridiculous. I think everybody just needs to get back to work. So we are recording this on Easter Sunday because nobody invited Harry and I to a family dinner. So we want to make everybody else miserable.
No,
No, that's not what we're doing?
No, we just want to tell them the truth and twist them a little bit and make them feel a little guilty. Oh, I'm eating a turkey or I'm eating ham. Well, why did we kill a lamb when it's supposed to be a little innocent creature? And now we're eating them.
Why do we kill a lamb? Why do we have to sacrifice things for the holiday? We're going to get into that. Definitely. The first thing that I want to talk about, of course, is we got to do a little promo here. Mother's Day sale is ending. I was running a special to have an 11x14 oil painting created for Mom, delivered in time for the holidays. $449. That's it. So that sale is ending on the 25th. This is the last time we're going to be doing a broadcast, so I figured I should let everybody know. The second thing I wanted to bring up, if you do want to get one, there is still a little time left. I have open spots. Just go to our Facebook or our Instagram link and send me a direct message. But I was working on putting out a short from our last podcast earlier today. And the short that I created was about how I kind of feel like you're an anarchist rather than a Republican or a libertarian.
Well, I'll wear whatever uniform I want just to get into the enemy camp.
But I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe in the spirit of Easter, we should rename this podcast. Maybe we should rename it The Anarchist and the Antichrist.
Whatever you want.
Has good alliteration.
Good show.
All right. Well, fair enough. So we got a few things to go over today, Harry. First of all, you brought this to my attention. What's going on with the female astronauts? What's going on with that patch that they all have on their uniforms?
She came out of the space capsule and she had a badge and she covered it with her hand.
Okay.
Well, this badge, if you turned it opposite, guess whose symbol's on it?
I don't know.
Yours.
My symbol?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. What's my symbol?
They sold your symbol.
They sold my symbol?
Yes. It turns into your figure.
My figure.
The real you.
So you're talking about Katy Perry?
Yeah, you talk about that little creature that you put on your front page.
But the female astronaut that you're talking about that has everybody's panties in a bunch, that's Katy Perry. She's a pop star. So she's a singer. And everybody's talking about the badge that they all wore for, what's it called again? Blue something? Blue sky or blue something or other? I don't know.
Blue original?
I don't know. Whatever bullshit billionaire trip into space that they all did.
11 minutes in space? That ain't a lot of time.
I don't know, but I mean, I wouldn't want to do it because first of all, you're basically sitting in a metal tube with like a whole bunch of shit blowing up underneath you. I mean, things can go wrong. I mean, think about, you remember the Titanic incident?
Yeah.
Where the guy had the tin can that he put down the
Right,
Titanic.
he went down to the Titanic to take pictures, and the thing just went.
Yeah, it was like a tourism thing.
Yeah.
So he built it as a tourist trap, and it's still at a level of technology for people that I don't think has any business being utilized for tourism. It still takes a lot to make sure that you're not going to die going that deep underwater.
It's a mini submarine, that's all it is.
Yeah. And similarly, I think it still takes a lot of engineering to make sure that you don't die being launched into space at the tip of an exploding cigar. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do it. So what I'm saying is everybody's giving them shit because they were only up there for 10 minutes. They basically barely left the atmosphere of the planet. They were barely in space. What I'm saying is I'm not taking anything away from them as far as bravery.
How much did it cost to go on that trip?
Oh, I have no idea. But everybody on there had money.
That would be a nice little profit to you.
I'm sure that the overhead is ridiculous, right?
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, the only people that seem to be able to do this sort of thing in an inexpensive manner, as far as I've been able to surmise, is SpaceX, and that's why they're getting all the government contracts, is because they're cheaper than everybody else. So who was the one that put up this blue sky or whatever? Is this Bezos's thing?
Bezos.
Is Bezos?
Yeah.
Okay, so is his as inexpensive as SpaceX?
No, he's one of the richest men in the world.
Well, I know he is, but I mean, Musk is richer.
Yeah, but I don't know. For all the love of money, I wouldn't want to go to space.
No, neither would I. Too many things can go wrong. And I know that everybody's getting on their ass because, especially Katy Perry, like the remarks that she made when she came back down, she's like kissing the ground. And a lot of her remarks are really pretentious, and everybody's like, what's the big deal? You were up there for 10 minutes. You were barely in outer space. You know what I mean? I think they were, I don't know, what was it, like 80 miles up or some bullshit?
Something like that.
Something like that. I don't know. I am not going to take away anything from them for the courage or the bravery that it takes to sit at the end of an aluminum tube that's exploding behind you and get launched into the atmosphere. I would never do it.
If you want to go in space, join the military and learn to fly a plane. Go up an aircraft carrier. Fly an F-16. Do something better than just pay your money for a stupid little ride.
But you have to agree that to sit in one of those things and get launched into the atmosphere, it takes a little bit of courage to do that.
Sure does.
Yeah, it doesn't take any know-how. It just takes money and courage at this point. So yeah, one of the controversies that you showed me as far as this whole thing goes, I'll put it on the screen right now. So they're saying that if you take the badge that they all wore on their uniforms, and there's Miss Perry, and you turn it upside down, the spaceship looks like the symbol of Baphomet. So let me see if I can bring that up here. There you go. So you can see it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're saying, and I gotta be honest with you, kind of. I mean, it kind of does. Now, that's not what a modern day rocket ship looks like. So why did they design it that way? Do you think that was done on purpose? I mean, what's your feelings on it?
I think somebody stole your symbol.
Well, if this was a New World Order project, they're not stealing it. We're all on the same side. It's a little, it's a little nod to each other. But if this was a New World Order project, this is one that I was not read in on. So I don't know for sure. I mean, what's your instinct tell you? Do you think this was something that was done on purpose, or do you think this is...
I don't really give a damn.
Okay. Well, we don't have to talk about it. You're the one who mentioned it to me earlier today.
The point is, I thought they stole your symbol. Maybe we should take them to court, and sue that ass.
We could. All right. Well, I will contact the Church of Satan, and we'll get in on that, and we'll see if maybe they are violating some sort of trademark.
Antitrust law?
Yeah, something like that. Trademark, maybe a copyright law. Copyright law is changing all the time. It would be tough. But if we have the Baphomet trademarked, we might have a good chance of getting in there. Now, another organization that uses that symbol as well, of course, is the Illuminati. And as you know, we were talking on the last podcast that I had been invited to join the Illuminati. A member of the Illuminati had reached out to me on Facebook. I forget his name. And it's not important. And so he messaged me. He said, hey, listen, if you feel like your ideals are aligned, we do not take in new members very regularly, but right now we are accepting new members. And so I was out playing pool the day after we recorded that podcast. And where were we? I think we were at a Buffalo Wild Wings. So I will always remember where I was and what I was doing, not only on 9/11, but also when I finally joined the Illuminati. I was in a Buffalo Wild Wings with Talking Head number 6 and our father, and I opened up Facebook Messenger, and I replied to this gentleman, and I said, fucking A, 1000%, let's go.
Was it George Bush?
It was not George Bush. Unless he was using a fake name. I don't know. It was like Nelson or some bullshit. He had like 2 first names. I don't know. Who cares? But anyway, he replied to me immediately. Okay, this was exactly a week ago, and he replied to my message accepting the invitation. He replied, "You're welcome." And that's the only reply that I got. So I was expecting them to, say, okay, cool. Here's an application. Or here's how much it's going to cost. You can send us a check. Well, I was expecting...
Money.
Maybe. But no. The only reply that I received from the Illuminati was, "You're welcome." So do you know what that means, Harry? I am now a member of the Illuminati.
Good, you're an appreciated person.
So they have seen all the good work that I've been doing for the New World Order since I have received the mandate from Davos, and I am now a member of the Illuminati as well. I have yet to be read in on what schemes we are going to be cooking up in order to further enslave all of humanity. But as time goes on and I find out more about it, I will let everybody know exactly what we're up to. And that goes along with our preemptive propaganda, where first we tell you what we're going to do, and then we do it, and then we tell you what we did, and for some reason, all you motherfuckers just keep going along with it. I think it's great.
Because they can't fight back.
They can't. They cannot. We have such an upper hand at this point. It's pretty incredible. It's amazing. So yeah, wanted to let everybody know that I am now a member of the Illuminati. And, we'll let you know how that goes. Would you like me to try to get you in, Harry?
I don't think they want me for a member.
Well, we have you as a member of the New World Order. Why wouldn't we want you in the Illuminati?
Well, I'm too much of a bit of a radical.
Well, speaking of radicals, I got another interesting message on my Facebook today. Who was this from? It was something about Jeebus. Who sent me this? I'm going to read you this message. Tell me what you think of this, Harry. Jesus was a radical, nonviolent revolutionary who hung around with lepers, hookers, and crooks, was an American, and never spoke English, was anti-wealth, anti-death penalty, and anti-public prayer, but was never anti-gay, never mentioned abortion or birth control, never called the poor lazy, never justified torture, never fought for tax cuts for the wealthiest Nazarenes, never asked a leper for a copay, and was a long-haired, brown-skinned, homeless community organizing, anti-slut-shaming Middle Eastern Jew.
Sounds like a Democrat to me.
In many ways. Yeah, so this is something you sent to me just before we started the podcast. I thought that was pretty damn funny. Where'd you find that?
Oh, I thought somebody sent me the message.
Yeah.
I got my own little group.
Oh, somebody sent that to you?
Yeah.
Who was it?
I don't know. It's just one of the people. But,
okay.
But he was a Jewish Democrat.
Well, it's really amazing to me that especially the Republicans, they're so pro-Jeebus. And they completely miss, I mean, if he was a real person and if what the New Testament says about him actually occurred. This guy, I mean, even if he didn't exist, the story that they're praising is completely against their agenda.
Well, like I said, we take all kinds in this world. And if the Republicans don't want to respond to this thing, first of all, he was brown-skinned. He wasn't white. Remember the Catholic Church put that white guy up there. He was Jewish, so he was circumcised.
He was Jewish.
He kept the Old Testament laws. And by the way, this country don't follow the Ten Commandments anyway. Let's go down to Washington, D.C. They break every law. So, therefore, guess what? Judgment's coming on this earth.
Oh, so you're a believer that God's going to punish the United States for misrepresenting him?
I don't know if it's God or bad karma or negativity.
Okay.
But I know for every action there's a counter-reaction.
That's true. I mean, that's just physics.
That's physics. But that may be happening. But, so therefore, you people are celebrating Easter for the man that walked out of the cavern, out of his burial site. Now, here's something I'm going to tell you. It's very simple. He did not come out on Sunday.
Okay.
He was grabbed on Wednesday, tried on Thursday, crucified on Friday, was turned to the Sabbath, and the Jews couldn't bury him. So he had to sit 3 days and 3 nights in the grave, which made him come out Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning. So therefore, Sunday, Easter, was declared by the Roman Catholic Church, is a false holiday. It's a pagan holiday.
Yeah, so you gave me some interesting background on this, and I always love hearing about the Council of Nicaea. Yeah. The Council of Nicaea was the council that codified the Christian religion back in 325 AD. This is where they disregarded certain books of the Bible and they decided what the canonical books of the Bible were going to be. This is where they decided. The question was put before this council. Was Jesus just a prophet or was he God? And this council answered these questions. This is a matter of historical fact. So anytime you're worshiping Jeebus, by proxy, you're essentially worshiping the folks that were on the good old Council of Nicaea. And during this council, they decided that, where is it? Some elders believe that Easter should be based on the timing of the Jewish Passover, while others thought that it should fall on a Sunday because they believed Jesus to have risen on a Sunday. So why would they think that Jebus rose on a Sunday? Oh, is Council of Versailles 325? Yeah. 325 AD, around 325 AD. So why would they believe that Jebus rose on a Sunday if there's nothing in the Bible that says he rose on a Sunday?
God
is it just symbolic?
Yes.
Okay.
The sun god Ra, which enforced the Roman Catholic Church.
Now, it's interesting to me, why do you think that every monotheistic religion has to institute some type of sun worship, and Christianity's no different? Christianity is a sun worshiping religion.
Yes.
They completely redid the calendar. We used to have a calendar that was based on the cycles of the moon. So why do you it's interesting, every monotheistic religion has to institute sun worship. Why do you think that is?
Control of the masses.
Okay.
And that's the bottom line.
But why couldn't you control the masses just as easily through moon worship?
Because the Jews, that was called the lunar calendar.
Right.
But before that, it was so-called God's law from the Ten Commandments, which was before they come with the lunar calendar. So nobody actually knows what to follow. So they offer you something, and if you follow, fine, you're in the group. But if you're out of the group, no, you're different. We're improving religion.
Mm-hmm.
We're making a fixed calendar days. But the Jews have a floating calendar. And it's like 14 days, starts Easter, and then you got the other 6 holidays that they follow, according to the Old Testament.
So, what I always found interesting about solar worship is that the sun is supposed to be the masculine principle.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And the moon is supposed to be the feminine principle. And religions that held the feminine in very high regard, whether they were, ISIS cults in ancient Egypt or very, very, very ancient pagan religions, they always held to the lunar calendar, and they felt that the feminine was sacred because it generated life. I don't know. And everything that's monotheistic has to be based on the sun and has to be based on the masculine character. It seems like it's kind of setting you up for an authoritarian sort of frame of mind. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Basically, it's control. This is what you're supposed to think. You're supposed to accept this. Don't think outside the box. Be happy where you are. Be happy you own nothing.
And the thing that I find also interesting about that is that they all demand sacrifice. Every sun-worshipping cult, whether it's still a cult or whether it turns into a worldwide religion. And the only difference between a cult and a religion is the number of members, let's be honest.
Yeah, and the label.
Yeah. They all demand sacrifice. And it's interesting to me that everything that worships the sun it's essentially worshiping death. Why do you think that is?
That's the cycle of life. To keep your power, you got to be able to control your people. Got to control the birth control. You got to cause wars. You got to send your people out to the crusade.
Mm-hmm.
Send your orphan children off to the children's army and let the Arabs grab them as slaves during the crusade.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost such a forceful indoctrination into people to accept the idea of death and sacrifice as something to almost be celebrated.
Look at the wars between the Catholics and the Protestants, England and Italy.
Mm-hmm.
World War I, you had Christians fighting each other. Why? You've got have the same religion. It says thou shalt not kill. What the hell you fighting somebody across the line? You don't even know them.
Yeah, exactly. Or really any war.
Any war in general. Most wars are trade wars.
Exactly.
That's what they are.
They're fought for money. I mean, we did a podcast on this a long time ago called Sex and Violence, and I was just raising the question very succinctly, why do we live in a society, all of Western civilization pretty much, is dead set against sex and is extremely pro-violence? You can see it in our movies, you can see it in our video games, you can see it in all realms of entertainment. It's pretty amazing. Sex is dirty and evil, and you have to have a special rating for it, but you can have all sorts of violence going on in a movie, let's say, and it's rated PG, you know?
Because some people think it's a video game. Let me tell you, it's not a video game. If you're there, you go find out it's not a video game.
It's something that's very abstract until you're actually experiencing it. And I watched a video recently on YouTube that I was like, God damn it, that's an excellent point. And it's not the first time I heard the point, but the video put it very succinctly. And the point of the video was, why is Hollywood, as generally speaking, a very left-leaning liberal establishment, every single piece of action, entertainment that they put out, I mean, it's so gun-oriented. Hey, we need to take people's guns away. We should have gun laws in America the same way we have in the UK and Australia. And, I mean, look at John Wick, Jesus Christ, or look at all of the Taken movies, or anything with that bald guy that the transporter, whatever that fucking guy's name.
I think his name is Jason something.
I don't know. That guy, some people say I look like him. I appreciate that, because that's a handsome dude right there.
I wish you could fight like him.
Well, you've never seen me.
Okay.
Oh, is that a challenge, Harry?
You better be careful of old men.
But, I mean, it stands to reason. I mean, why are they so gung-ho, pun intended, about taking away Americans' guns and decrying every piece of violence that happens in this country? And yet most of the entertainment that they put out is glorifying violence.
Because they want people to think they're powerful, and the people are trying to live through their movie and say, I could do that. You know what? Yeah, you try that. Because it's not, it becomes fucking real. And you know what? Then there's a thing called fear. And fear is the greatest weapon. And if somebody wants to live through movies and say, I could be a John Wick. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, try it, buddy. Because most of the guys that are capable of doing that shit, they don't pronounce it. They don't show it. They're very low key.
It's the quiet ones you gotta watch out for.
Don't worry about the rattlesnake rattling. Worry about the one you don't hear.
Yeah. Do you know what that's called when people try to live through stories or entertainment? They're living vicariously through the character. It's an excellent word. And so many people, especially in our country, where there's pretty much no identity that you can have aside from what you do for a living and what political leaning you are, which are both so fucking stupid as far as identities go. Pick something more fun. That the only things open to you after that is vicariously living through characters that you see in your entertainment, because that's all anybody does. They go to work and then they come home and they just relax in front of the boob tube.
Yeah, with Budweiser, and they watch John Wick or
sports, like everybody's doing today. Yeah, they're living vicariously through their team, They're
not real.
Yeah.
Real people are the scariest people you know. When you meet a real person that is totally committed to whatever their gender is, you're scary as hell to them, because you know what? You got something they don't have. A set of balls.
Well, also, I have membership in the New World Order and now the Illuminati. So I'm sure that I'm going to start getting some pushback now that I'm a real threat. I'll have to get ready for that.
Thank God you get some invites.
Well, you get invited to shit. You got invited to the Pike County Republican Party.
Yeah, but I snuck in there. I'm not really Republican. I believe they got the agenda right, but they don't go all the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're definitely not anarchists. And everything that I've heard you talk about, you are 100% anti-authoritarian. You're not coming from the perspective of this is the correct way to rule over people. You're coming from the perspective of nobody has any fucking right to rule over me. Right. Isn't that right?
No negotiation with me. You're 100% with me or you're not with me. And if you're not with me, there's only good and evil. Enemy and friend. Mm-hmm. And if you want to take something from me, you become my enemy. Mm-hmm. You want to be my friend? If I got something, I'll share it with you. Mm-hmm. But it's my choice.
100%.
I am not going to be told that I'm going to take 30% of your income because I think I'm entitled to income tax. Well, you know what? On April 26th, we're going to see how many people want to find out the truth.
On April 26th, what are you talking about?
You're talking about your art show.
You're talking about the Gray Towers show that we're doing. Okay. Are you going to be running around like no. Are you going to be bothering everybody?
No, I'm not going to be bothering.
Are you sure?
I'm going to let you be the attraction.
Me?
You painting.
I kind of feel like anybody that approaches our table is going to get an earful from Harry the Taxman.
Well, no, they're going to have to ask me.
They're going to have to ask you?
I got about 50 packages I'm giving away free.
Okay.
So I'm going to show them how to get free, and I'm going to see if they're serious about it.
Yeah, you were printing out a lot of stuff the other night. What did you print out for everybody for this weekend? I printed out
a letter of exemption.
Okay.
That you give your boss that he stops taking income taxes out.
Okay.
A 19-page letter called Dear IRS.
Yeah.
You read that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and a few other things. And the one thing about the birth certificate, that the Vatican owns you.
Which we talked about recently, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I am going to inform you how to free yourself. Now, let's see if you want to free yourself.
I kind of feel like most people do not want a lot of freedom. Even Salvador Dali said, never underestimate the masochism of the public. And I don't think he originated that quote. It's probably something from some socialist dictator. At least that's the way it sounds to me. But, I mean, do you think people really want freedom?
No, because when you get freedom, you get responsibility.
That's true.
When you get responsibility, then you got to put yourself on the line. If it's for your family, for your country, for your company, whatever what your agenda is, you put in 110% or you don't do it at all.
Yeah.
And if you fail, so what? At least you took and stood the line and you didn't negotiate or fall back.
Society as a whole, I feel like, are children running around in bodies of various ages. I do not think they're really adults mentally and spiritually as far as humanity's evolutionary development is at this point. I don't think they want to be responsible for themselves. I think they like being told what to do. And if you remember, I know you watched it with me a long time ago, the original Avengers movie.
Oh,
the Marvel Avengers movie, and Loki comes down, and he's in the public square in front of the museum, and he tells everybody to kneel, and he makes that whole speech. Isn't this better? Isn't this your natural state? While everybody's kneeling before him. And I think he kind of has a point. I think most people are more comfortable on their fucking knees, Harry.
Because it's a lot easier. But remember the movie Braveheart? When he said, Wallace said, what are you going to do with freedom? Remember that part of the movie?
No.
When just before the battle, what are you going to do with freedom? You may have freedom now, but they're going to come after your children, and then you won't have no freedom.
Oh, he was giving the speech to the army. He was saying, wouldn't you trade all of the days from this day to your last for one chance at freedom? And that was like his inspiring speech to his army. Yeah. I don't think he ever asked the question, what would you do with it? But that is a good question. If people had it, I'm not sure they do anything very productive with it.
No, because it takes a lot of effort and you got to stand your ground.
Well, first of all, if nobody's telling you what to do with your time, you got to invent your own shit to do.
You become creative.
Yeah.
You create your stuff.
Yeah.
You create your artwork. You created your business. It's yours.
Right.
Nobody else. It's yours.
For all the creativity most people have, they might as well just work for me, to be honest.
Right. You could be a car mechanic. You could be a great car mechanic.
That's fine.
And fix cars.
Sure.
But build yourself a car and build an engine that will run on any kind of fuel. Build an engine that runs on water. Build yourself a jet car that they did in 1967 out in Arizona that runs any kind of fuel.
Yeah.
It was a jet car.
Okay. I heard about the water car. What's this car that runs on anything? What's anything?
Anything combustible.
Okay.
Booze, moonshine.
Ooh. Okay. That's an expensive fuel source.
Any kind of diesel fuel. Anything. It converted anything to energy.
Okay.
But it was like a jet-propelled car.
Now, what happened to the gentleman that invented this wonderful thing? Let me take a guess.
He had a car accident.
Of course he did.
Just like the guy that took the transfer case from heavy equipment and put it in a 1963 Dodge Dart and got 70 miles to the gallon.
Mm-hmm.
He had an accident.
Mm-hmm. The guy that invented the car that ran on, supposedly,
ran
on water, he died under mysterious circumstances as well. Yeah.
They rather kill you.
Yeah, I mean, getting us off of oil is a huge threat, especially in America, to our economic, the powers that be, the vested interests.
Right.
Yeah.
The three main car manufacturers in this country. Didn't they do Tuckering in 1955? The Tucker car?
No, I don't remember that at all.
They stopped selling him steel. He's the one that put the engine in the front of the car, like the Corvair back in '63.
Well, I know that the Porsche has a centrally mounted engine. I don't know of any cars that... I don't know what you're talking about.
How you sold the helicopter engines to Tucker to put on his car, and he had the helicopter engines running the car.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
And this guy's name was Tucker?
Yeah, Tucker car.
Never heard of the Tucker car.
There was one 1955, and he used to make work for the Department of Defense. He made a little command car with a machine gun on it back during the war. But
that sounds like something you would have bought right away.
Oh, I was looking at a armored car from the Rhodesian War from 1962.
Yeah.
It was a Rolls-Royce 5-cylinder motor, and it had a little driver, it had a Rolls-Royce motor, and it had a gun turret on there.
Okay.
I would like to run through Milford in there with the gun turret going.
Dude.
With remote control, turn it, go there, maybe fire it off at the courthouse.
Maybe when you're right in front of the courthouse, right?
Yeah.
I really wish I could have gotten you that one track, man. I really wish that. Maybe still someday. We'll see. We'll see.
Whatever.
Yeah, I would have liked to get you the one track. My goal was to have you running around Pike County in a one track for an entire day and just let me get video of you running up and down the streets in a one track and see people's reactions. I think it would have been fun.
Maybe take out a couple of law officers.
I think that would have ended in you going to jail. It's a possibility.
What, on the 8 cops they got hired? They got part-time cops.
Bring it on, motherfucker!
I'll bring my gang from the South Bronx, the 15-year-old kids that got more balls than they got.
Oh, it sounds like a challenge. That's funny.
Well, maybe he's part of the family.
Well, speaking of, we were just talking about the show that we're doing on Saturday at the Gray Towers in Milford, Pennsylvania. I found something very interesting about the gentleman whose family donated that property to the state of Pennsylvania in 1963. So his name was Mr. Gifford Pinchot, and he was the first forester either in Pennsylvania or perhaps in the nation. He was good friends with Roosevelt. I know that.
About 1901, 1904.
Something like that. And so I'm looking through the history, and everything looks, pretty cut and dry. I mean, basic politician from the early 20th century. And then I come to this one sentence on his Wikipedia page. Gifford Pinchot was also active on 2 American eugenics councils, the last of which was in, I believe, 1923.
You found his secret.
So, Harry, not everybody knows what eugenics is, so why don't you enlighten?
Eugenics is a form of racial disqualifications, racial injustice towards the people of color, and they wanted to control it. It's a form of controlling a race of people, which happen to be the black people.
Well, that's what it was used for.
Right.
Eugenics, in America, it used to be called sexual health. And it was all about people having sexual unions to produce children who were from healthy stock. So eugenics, I brought up the Wikipedia page explaining eugenics. Let's take a look at that. Now, this was popular in the United States of America, and I talk to you on podcasts all the time. I kept telling you I have that book on eugenics from the early 1900s, and then we went to the storage unit.
I guess Adolf Hitler read that book too.
Well, a lot of people don't realize this. The Nazi Party got their ideas about eugenics, about breeding strong stock, human stock, from the United States. And the United States, part of their eugenics program was mandatory sterilization. If you were considered unfit to have children, the state, and I believe this was, if not in all states of the Union, I don't remember how many there were back then, it was in most of them, they could sterilize you, so you could not have children. Now, when the Nazis took this program, it was largely racial. They were trying to breed the pure Superman. German stock, the Übermensch, the Superman, the what did they call it? The pure stock,
the pure Aryan race.
The Aryan race, right? So in America, it was largely used against the African population, the black population, and it was largely used against poor people. Not just racial minorities, but poor people.
And American Indian, let's not forget.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Now, I've heard also, although I didn't want to put in enough time to look into this too deeply, that the organization Planned Parenthood actually comes from America's eugenics program. I've heard about this.
That was a woman called Singer.
Okay.
Singleton, something like that.
Yeah.
But that was 1920.
Okay. And Planned Parenthood, when it started out, a lot of what they were doing, they were focused on giving abortions to African Americans because they felt that was the white people were going to be outbred. something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah. So if we look at the Wikipedia page for eugenics, it says that it is the set of beliefs and practices which aims at improving the genetic quality of the human population. And it played a significant role in the history and culture of the United States from the late 19th century to the mid 20th century. And the cause became increasingly promoted by intellectuals of the progressive era. Now, Mr. Gifford Pinchot, who owned the Gray Towers estate, and his family later donated it to the Forestry Service that we're going to be having the art show at this weekend. He was a proponent of eugenics. Now, I can tell you when it lost popularity in the United States of America, it was during World War II. Because now America saw what that type of thinking ultimately leads to. And we had the fucking Holocaust. All of a sudden, it's not so fun anymore.
No, it's not.
And that with ideology and being an ideologue, that's a good example of where the rubber meets the road. It's really fun to get together with your intellectually elite cronies and talk about top-down governance in order to make the country healthier and stronger and, basically eschewing any natural function or eschewing people's inherent right to choice and saying, well, we know better, so we're going to decide for everybody. But then when the rubber meets the road and we see where that type of thinking ultimately leads, now we have the fucking Holocaust.
Well, you could go back to England, what they did to the Irish and the Scots.
Mm-hmm.
The same mentality, the same thinking. The English thought they were better than the Irish and the Scots, and they killed them like left and right. But
I think that was less of a case of attempted social engineering
Right.
by an elite class, and it was more about conquest, though, wasn't
it
it?
was about conquest. But
Yeah.
it's still a conquest.
Sure.
You could label it different, but you conquest the whole people by controlling their population.
Yeah, you're right. And by, really, the philosophy is no different. And I think that the Holocaust showed America that when you have that type of artificial, top-down, social engineering, elitist type of mentality, where you're just getting all of the rules of sexual attraction and pheromones and just throwing nature to the wind and saying, we're going to organize this. We know better than nature. That's what you end up with. And that the impetus to do that is to want to have power over other people. And I think that the Holocaust kind of laid bare.
Yeah, it laid it right open.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like hunting. It's like hunting animals into extinction. Hunting is a form of birth control. We do it to the deer and the bear up here. Now we got the wolves problems. We got the coyote problems.
Mm-hmm.
They kill thousands of coyotes in the Midwest.
Right.
Why? They want to control because they don't want the cattle destroyed.
Right.
Or they're killing the hogs, the wild hogs. All right, they're destroying the farm, so we have the right to kill the hog.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's still going back to our basic nature of survival.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do for your survival?
It's an interesting question because when you look at what we do to the rest of the natural world, especially animal populations that you're talking about, I mean, frankly, if I had a farm or I had a ranch and everybody got together and decided we're going to kill all the wolves we can find, I'd be kind of happy about that. But there's an evolutionary imperative that I think Nietzsche pointed out, where for human beings, our will for survival and our will to procreate has kind of been supplanted by our will to power. And if we already have power over everything else in our world, then, well, who's left to compete with? It's each other. It's other human beings. And I think there's an argument. I was listening to Brett Weinstein. He's talking about an argument where on an evolutionary path, the reason why human beings evolved so in the specific ways that they did, and their evolutionary process seems to be so sped up beyond other mammalian species, is because we compete with each other. And that's interesting. And it brings to mind a quote from the Satanic Bible. Anton LaVey asked the question, if human beings ceased wholly from preying upon one another, could they continue to exist? It's a good question, and I don't know the answer to it.
Yeah, we could exist, but then again, then the controls come in. How you going to control the money, the power level, the needs for people? We got enough land that we could put a lot of people on there, but they create this artificial wealth thing about we need money to control things. Well, what if I take 10 acres, I want to start a farm, and I just want to feed myself, but I don't want to deal with money. Mm-hmm. But once you get money into the equation, now you have to have someone to control the money. That's the Fed. Now the Fed wants to control the country. Mm-hmm. And that's why this country's in upside down right now, because if we do away with the Fed, what are we going to have for our value? What's going to be valuable to you? Mm-hmm. Is a piece of paper going to be valuable, a gold bar, a silver bar, or are we going to the barter system?
Well, I'll tell you what, if shit actually hits the fan and we end up on some sort of barter system, we're talking post-apocalypse sort of shit. From what I've read, soap bars become more valuable than gold bars. Yeah. That becomes a currency. If nobody's making soap, everybody wants soap. If you're worried about the end of the world, invest in soap.
Like cigarettes are currency in jail.
Yeah, exactly. And booze, right.
And the problem is, what becomes valuable to your life?
Yeah, what you can't get.
If I'm in a desert and you got water and I got gold bricks, your water is more valuable than the gold.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. If I happen to know how to make shoes, and you got bare feet, the shoes become valuable. Mm-hmm. Then I got to ask, what do you got for trade?
Yeah, I got a bar of soap. You need to wash your fucking hands?
I got to wash myself, and you need shoes.
Yeah.
Is it even trade?
No, not really. Actually, I would need, if nobody has soap, I would need, 4 pairs of shoes for maybe half a bar of soap. Yeah, my soap would be so much more valuable than shoes. Especially because I walk around barefoot all the time. I don't give a rat's ass. But,
yeah, well, yeah. What's valuable to you could be valuable to somebody else.
Yeah. No, money is definitely one of the most important cornerstones of civilization. And as far as we understand what civilization is, it always manifests from a top-down control. So, and I'm not saying that hierarchy isn't implicit in the animal kingdom. However, what I am saying is that there is always going to be a natural mechanism for stratification that creates hierarchy. And that's part of the process of evolution where, the fittest survive and breed and the unfit die out and do not breed. And that's what keeps the general population of any species healthy. Its ability to adapt, survive, and breed. But this top-down, when people gain so much power that they start to think that they know better than nature, and they start to implement this sort of thinking, that they're going to re-engineer what people naturally are. I mean, that gives us civilization but it also leads in the darkest possible directions that we could ever fucking dream up. And, any genocide, not just the Holocaust, but any genocide is a case in point. That's top-down social engineering, deciding that one race or group has more of a right to survive than a different race or group, rather than relying on evolutionary forces for natural stratification.
Well, you mess with the balance of nature, you're not going to win. It
Never.
always wins.
Yeah. I mean, even with the Holocaust, I mean, such an outcry went up against that sort of thinking that our eugenics program was basically dismantled right then and there. Also, nobody in America was naming their kids Adolf anymore. So, I mean, you can see like everybody was just absolutely disgusted by what happened there. But hey, so I mean, I'm not saying that Gifford Pinchot was an evil person, but it's a part of American history that's largely whitewashed. And I am a firm believer that if you are ignorant to history, you are eventually doomed to repeat it. So I think it's worth mentioning that, even this gentleman, as innocuous as he is, most people, this is probably the first time they're hearing this name, Gifford Pinchot. Then I say the word eugenicist, and most people have no idea what that is. That was a huge part of this fucking country, man.
They don't study.
And thankfully, nobody watches this, so I don't have to worry about the Grey Towers Heritage Foundation thinking that I'm shitting on the show and kicking me out of it. So I'm going to take advantage of my small audience right now, and yeah.
Well, our audience is growing slowly.
Yeah, slowly. Yeah, each podcast we put out now gets about an average of 120 viewers across all platforms. That's we started out with 3, and I knew all 3 of those people. So it's better than where we were at.
I believe it's going to grow because things are getting real for some people, and they are facing things now that they never thought of, and they're looking for answers. And sometimes they look at an answer and they look at this podcast that we got going on here, and they say, what do these fucking guys talk about? Eugenics and Holocaust, this and that. Well, pick up a book and read.
You are a perpetual optimist. Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, listen, man. If you realize that shit is way more fucked up than you ever thought it was, and you decide to come here for information, I'm happy to have you. But personally, I think there are better places to go.
Hey, this is my purpose in life.
I know.
To inform you. Now, if you're going to do something about it, that's up to you. If you want an answer, we'll give you an answer. But I'm not telling you to follow my path, because my path is not your path. Yeah, I got a different way of doing things. And sometimes it may take something for you to really do it, like a real tragedy in your family, or maybe a tragedy in yourself. You go have the banks take your house away, and you know they don't own the note.
Yeah.
And the courts allow them to do it. Don't you think you should get a little pissed off?
Well, I can't see how anybody wouldn't get pissed off. But, I mean, it's really like, and I mean, we've established that you're basically an anarchist at this point, and there's certain things that I agree with, ideally, from that perspective. So, I mean, within that perspective, let me bring the internet up again. Ideally, from that perspective, I mean, we were looking at the patch, right, with the spaceship, and then, they're saying that if you turn it upside down, it looks like the Baphomet. And we were talking about the difference between solar religions and lunar religions, and the solar represents the masculine force and hierarchy and really top-down governance, and the lunar establishment represents the feminine and nature and being in tune with nature, I'll tell you which religion is all about top-down hierarchy in America. That's Christianity. That's the Christian religion. And I'll tell you which one represents the lunar perspective as far as I'm concerned. That's Satanism for one, but many, many others. The right-hand path seems to be the solar path of top-down governance, of organized, created hierarchy. And the left-hand path seems to be the path of allowing the wisdom of nature to have its place. You know what I mean?
So one is truth and one is all make-believe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it becomes truth if enough people believe it. It's like money. And it's like they said in Game of Thrones, and I quote this all the time, it's, where does power reside? It resides in a story that we tell each other until we all believe that it's true. It's all a story. But if you look at it from that perspective, it's interesting to me that the right-hand path of the solar religions all demand sacrifice. But everybody, they're always worried about that old goat demanding sacrifice. Do you guys know what the goat represents? It's the goat of Mendes. The goat of Mendes was the animal that was sacrificed in the ancient religions that carried the sins of the tribe. It's called the scapegoat. And that's the same thing that Christians have been doing with the devil ever since the inception of Christianity. I mean, look at the Catholic Church. I mean, the devil wants your soul. And then, according to the research that you found, who actually owns people's souls?
The Catholic Church.
And the devil wants your children, and Satanists rape your children and kill your children. Who's raping their children, Harry?
The Catholic priests.
Holy shit, look at that. Isn't that such a fucking spell of misdirection over the population? Interesting. Very interesting. So if I wanted to convince people that death worship was the way to go, so they want to fight in any of my wars, and that the way to feel good about yourself is to evaluate the group needs over the needs of the individual, so that you go along with whatever top-down dictates they decide for you. What's a good way to disguise that type of fucked up evil thinking? Let's put a lamb
That sounds like
and a shepherd.
And it sounds like what Spock said on Star Trek. The needs of others override the ones of individuals.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit on that. Very simple philosophical point here. All groups are made of individuals. So if the groupthink is not serving the needs of individuals, that groupthink gotta go. I mean, that's the way it is. That's the way I see it. Now, I understand that you do need a certain amount of organizational hierarchy in order to have civilization. So let me put my philosophy, Harry. Let me state this very succinctly. As far as I'm concerned, I agree with you. I'm an anarchist. I don't want anybody fucking telling me what to do, because I know I got my own best interests at heart. And if I ever falter, like getting shit hammered every day and killing myself, I'll wake back up and I'll realize that I'm destroying myself. That's on me. Okay? However, I do not know that anybody else has my best interests at heart. And I don't think they do.
None of them do.
Exactly. They all want to use everybody else for their own gain because they have their best interests at heart. Now, as far as everybody else is concerned, I think all those motherfuckers need to be led by a firm hand so that they stay the fuck out of my way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you gotta have resistance.
So what I'm saying is, as far as I'm concerned, I need to be left alone. As far as everybody else is concerned, They need a strong leader telling them what to do, so they stay the fuck out of my way.
Well, the court system works that way. They work not for your interest, but for society's interest.
Of course.
And they want to control you.
Of course.
And if you put any resistance up, you soon find out how many people get in your face and they don't want you to rise up.
Of course.
So they got to put you down or ignore you. Take your choice.
Well, especially with the court system, that's why we have, is it called habeas corpus? Innocent until proven guilty? Innocent until proven guilty. That's what it's called.
They could cancel that out if they wanted to.
Well, what I'm saying, though, to make a point in praise of Western civilization, the fact that in this country and in many other Western countries, you are innocent until proven guilty shows that our civilization is based upon the individual being more important than the group. And I think that as Westerners is what we're beginning to be in danger of losing.
Well, the English common law says you're guilty until proven innocent. Remember, England...
That's a fucking problem.
But that's why England, when they went to countries, they put the law first before they brought the people. Because when the people came in, they thought the law was the law.
Yeah.
And that's the English common law.
Right.
And it's just like mercantile law, admiralty law. Unless you get into that game, then you go find out what the hell are they talking about. Then you can see the contradictions within the law.
Mm-hmm.
Then the lawyers don't fight for your rights. He fights for the court to keep civilization in place.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to be found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
If you get caught, if you're loose and you're found innocent, the other guy's got to be guilty. Because it's only a corporation making money.
I think if you want to take a good look at how civilization and the people in charge of it are extremely concerned with keeping the population under their thumb. And we could look at religion as one of a few different tools that they use to do that. Yeah. Let's just take a look for a second at the Beatitudes. Okay? You can probably name more than me. Do you remember any of the Beatitudes?
Yeah, the whole thing is he covered most things in life.
I mean, I can look up a list, but just to jog your memory, the Beatitudes is when Jesus is talking and he says, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit
the earth.
Right, those are the Beatitudes.
Now, how could the meek inherit the earth?
They're not gonna. It's not gonna happen.
All they're going to inherit is debt, and whatever peace I give you, you're going to be happy with. So you're going to not have that negative thought in there, and you've lost your power.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jesus didn't want to become a king anyway. He just informed the people that this is what you started with, but you went off track now, and now you got to go back on track.
Now, wait a second. There is an interesting quote in the New Testament about Jesus wanting to be king, and it's your favorite Bible verse.
Oh, yeah.
And doesn't Jesus say, but for those that did not want me to be king over them, bring them before me and slay them in front of me?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was Luke 19.
Something. So maybe he did want to be king.
Yeah. Well, remember, the Bible...
but the meek shall inherit the earth.
But the Bible was written by man, and that quote...
Whoa. It was? Can you say that again?
The Bible was written by man.
It wasn't written by God?
No, God didn't write it. Only his disciples wrote it.
Interesting.
And it took like the first Christians or Christian Jews up to 150 A.D. They kept the Jewish law.
Mm-hmm.
Then when 150 A.D. to 350 A.D., the writings of Paul and the disciples was copied. And by 338 A.D., the Roman Catholic Church threw out 40 books
The council. What was it called again? The Council of Versailles. Yeah.
The Book of Jubilee and the Book of Enoch.
The Book of Enoch was a big one. Also, the Book of Thomas, right?
Thomas, yeah.
And the Book of Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they threw it out because then it went control. Thing is, people don't look for that stuff and say, there's something wrong in my life. This don't sound right. So
now, yeah, go ahead.
So therefore, you got to wake yourself up, and if you're in a position and you say, there's something wrong with my life, I got to find out what it is. You find out what it is, find a way to get out of it.
It seems like everything that you have been taught to believe is good and right has been calculated over centuries to contain and control you. And if anybody is wondering what the fuck I'm talking about when I say that Christianity and other right-hand path solar religions are basically death cults, let's look at a few things. But let me let this little clip from Family Guy fill everybody in on my basic thinking. Put your headphones on real quick. I want you to see this. This is hilarious. So this is Peter Griffin giving a speech for Christmas. However, I think that the speech is more pertinent to Easter because that's when Jesus was supposed to rise from the grave, right? Isn't that when Jesus was supposed to rise? It was Easter, not Christmas. So here's Peter Griffin giving a speech.
As we all know, Christmas is that mystical time of year when the ghost of Jesus rises from the grave to feed on the flesh of the living.
So that was it. I mean, if you need any other, if you need any more hyperbole to show you my attitude towards these religions and how they're all death cults that are meant to just make death and everything seem perfectly cool so that you go along with war and economic slavery and hardship and all, look at the Beatitudes. Oh, you're a slave. You're a good person. But that as hyperbole, that pretty much sums up my attitude. I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, didn't a lot of those things that they broadcast 8 years ago, they're coming true today?
Such as?
Well, most of the political stuff that they put out is showing up today. There's so much out there. It's like they looked in the future.
What do you mean specifically? What are you talking about?
Well, I can't. What was it? The medical shit with the that he talked about, Peter, and.
Maybe you're thinking of The Simpsons. The Simpsons predicted a lot of crazy shit. Yeah.
Well, one of them, because my son used to watch all that. I looked at that. I said, "Wow." So I couldn't make the connection right away, but when I did make the connection, it fit right in.
Right.
But a lot of the future things that are happening today was out 8 years ago, and people thought it was silly shit.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not. No, it's all happening right now. And, that's Andy Warhol's famous reversal. Everybody used to say art follows life. And he made his famous reversal, life follows art. And when art becomes prophecy, that's a very powerful thing. Even a fucking cartoon.
Well, we got facing today. It's like the stupid shit that's coming out of Washington. And even though they found a lot of stolen money, has anybody been arrested yet?
No. They never will be.
Why?
Because they have power.
Because they're all in the same pot.
Yeah, probably.
And like I said, if this was a different country, like Russia, China, Iran, or any of those third world countries, that you would be marching out to the death camp right now. China, especially. China, they arrest you for bad speech.
Yeah. Well, the UK's getting crazy with that
Oh.
too. I mean, they're putting people in prison and fining them for Facebook posts.
Yep.
I mean, that's insane.
Well, unfortunately, Britain still owns this country.
Yeah.
They're still a colony.
Well,
Wake up, people. We got sold into slavery by words.
it was starting to happen in this country during the last administration. I mean, people were getting, and if you're getting banned from major social media sites nowadays, I mean, there's a chance that you're taking away somebody's ability to make a living.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're not directly getting paid by YouTube or X, now X, or Facebook or whatever, that's your ability to connect with your audience, and that's your ability to advertise, market, and promote your business. And to have that taken away from you is devastating to anybody trying to earn a living these days.
I think the biggest thing I have witnessed is I would compare the doctor with this inoculation bullshit to Adolf Hitler, because he probably did more damage to more people than Adolf Hitler did.
Well, I'm not gonna say that.
Right, but I'm saying
you can.
He had destroyed many of lives. He may not have outright killed them, but he had made some lives awful miserable.
I don't see. And you're welcome to say whatever you want, and we have almost no audience, so there's not likely to be any backlash. I'm just careful not to compare people to Hitler too easily, because it's something that the left has been doing for a while now, and I'm really uncomfortable with it. I think it's gross.
Then how could they call Trump a fascist?
Yeah, well, that's my point. That's the point that I'm making. So I don't like drawing Nazi comparisons so easily. It smacks of hyperbole. I think it's just the most evil person that people can conjure up in their brain. So
Stalin was evil?
Well, I mean, fucking Stalin, was it Stalin? Yeah, Stalin killed more people than Hitler did.
Yeah.
And why is he considered a rookie as far as devildom goes?
Killed people.
Mao.
But I believe the person who they were, they had an evil force in them. And they just acted on it.
Well, and once again, I think that force is the need to control other people. And I think that the flip side of that force, if we want to call it evil, that's fine. I think that the flip side of that force is people's need to be controlled. And you can't have one without the other. You really can't. I think that the public's masochism and acceptance of a death cult as the normative for their culture, they're just as guilty of everything that's happening as the people on the other side that take advantage of it.
Well, what does it say? For allow the evil to exist, you could stand for nothing and not resist them?
In order for evil men to succeed, all it takes is for good men to do nothing.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the quote.
And if you do nothing, then you're condoning it.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to make people aware of it. You're just going with the program.
So let's talk one more point, because today is Easter. And let's talk about how this vicious, supposedly inherent evil in the human population seems to exhibit itself. Let's talk about the concept of sacrifice. Now, I remember you got up one day and you were actually pretty surprised that I made a post on Facebook for Good Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is in Christianity, I believe, is the day that Christ was supposed to have been crucified. So let's talk about sacrifice. Let's talk about this for a second. I put up a painting. Whoops. That's not it. There it is. So I put up a painting that I did of a crucifixion. And this has very specific meaning to me. And I used for the halo a visual illusion called a scintillating grid. Now, obviously, the symbol of Jesus Christ is very personal to people. And I even had I did sell this painting eventually, but I even had a lady at an art fair that was going to buy this painting until she realized, guess what she hated about the painting, Harry?
What?
Take a look at the painting. Whoops.
Oh, what was
God
it?
damn it.
Was it the circle behind it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the halo she had a problem with. So of all the things in this is a crucified human being, one of the most painful ways to die. And guess what her problem with the painting was?
He's nude?
Yeah, he doesn't have a fucking underwear on.
So what?
So her problem with an effigy to torture was the fact that, and his genitals aren't even exposed.
No.
I got his junk tucked between his legs. God damn it, that keeps happening. So the image keeps changing for anybody that's just listening. So in my crucifixion, there's no tunic or wrap or underwear.
Right.
But his junk's tucked between his legs.
Right.
And that was her problem with that painting. She said, I would buy that. I was going to buy it. As soon as it caught my eye, I came over here to take a look at it.
Well, maybe she could learn how crucifixion actually kills you. You hang there, and everything's starts to sink, and it's like suffocating.
Yeah.
Your body just hangs, and there's more and more and more till you suffocate.
Yeah, all the fluids from your
all
arms
the
and
fluids
everything
went
build
down.
up in your lungs.
Now, there's a book called The Passover Plot, which says that Jesus did not die on the cross. He wrote a book, and he was supposed to, when they put the gall or the wine and they put to his mouth, it was a drug.
Mm.
And they knocked him out, and somebody else was placed on the cross.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to go to France, and somebody buried somebody else.
I've heard this. Yeah.
This is a real book a long time ago. It's called The Passover Plot. I read it, and this was a Jewish conspiracy.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite conspiracy theories.
Right. But this, I questioned it, and I said, well, if it happened that way, and it's a Jewish conspiracy, and they're just prolonging the story.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's a story that somebody wrote. And like I said, like you've seen The Passion of Christ by Mel Gibson, which was the 99% true history of what the Romans did.
Right.
It was the most realistic thing out of the Bible.
Yeah, aside from the fact that he had so much blood in his body, it could have been in 4 people. But Mel Gibson went a little crazy with the blood.
And these are the people, religious people. Now, there was another thing, Noah, the one with the that Austrian guy that played in there. That was
Russell Crowe, yeah.
That was a big bullshit thing about Noah, because it's not factual whatsoever.
Yeah, but none of it's factual.
But here's the people.
It's just different versions of the same
Right,
story.
different
You can't get 2 of every animal on a fucking boat, Harry. So it's not factual anyway.
Right. Okay. You and the story of the Ark. I mean, these are stories. Go check them out and go check out the history. Now, if they prove the Ark is actually real on Mount Ararat, and they actually prove it,
yeah.
How the hell you gonna get a fucking polar bear in the middle of Turkey when he lives in the North Pole?
Well, what were they feeding all the meat eaters? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that they can't all fit on a fucking boat, what were they feeding the meat eaters?
Yeah.
Vegetables?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Like I said, I question religious people. Please look into your history and really check it out, because this painting you got here has a definite message that people say, well, okay, so you don't have no underwear on. Big deal. But the Romans didn't give a shit in those days. And so...
Well, I don't think that ancient people were quite as prude as Americans today.
No.
I just thought it was funny that She wanted to buy an image of human torture because it reminds her of her God's love.
Right.
But the fact that there's the remotest whiff of sensuality to it, that doesn't remind her of her God's love. That reminds her of sin because he's not wearing undies. So we can have torture and that's righteous. We can have death and warfare and that's righteous. But any hint of sexuality is sin.
Then why did God create sex?
I think he did it so he'd give us something to feel guilty about. That's the way it seems.
Well, keep the species going. You gotta have a mechanism.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. And when God said be fruitful and multiply, I think he meant have sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it a sin?
Oh, absolutely. You gotta feel bad of it. Well, I don't know. Ask them. I'm not Christian.
You can't enjoy yourself?
I'm not a Christian. Listen, I am not the person who said, I want to buy a picture of torture because it reminds me of love, but he doesn't have any underwear on, so I can't do it because it makes me feel dirty.
Maybe I should ask a Catholic priest.
He should. It's a good question. So, I mean, just look at that right there. Abraham and Isaac.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't think that you're in a fucking death cult? Okay, Abraham and Isaac, go kill your son. Sure thing, God, no problem. I'll go kill my son. No, I was just joking, buddy. I was just joking. Don't kill your son. Whoa, you were really going to do that. Well, you're God. You told me to. Like, holy shit. And then we're so sinful because of two fuck-ups in a garden that the only way we are worthy of God's grace is if God kills himself by proxy and sacrificing. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And Harry, I told you when I was working in churches a lot, I used to get the new born againers, the ones that were really on fire for their faith, and they'd always try to converse with me. And I figured out a way to shut down the argument. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, you say, I got no sin in my life, so I don't carry that.
That's it. So I would say, they blah, 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 you need Jeebus, blah, blah, blah. And if it got out of hand, I would just look them dead in the eye, and I'd say, listen, I don't believe in original sin. What do you got? If you don't believe in original sin, there's nothing in that religion to offer you.
You're not carrying that baggage with you.
You have to feel guilty a priori for this religion to make sense. It's a death cult. Let's look at Easter. What now, what did the Christians celebrate Easter as? It's when Jesus came back from the dead.
Well, that represents hope. But if you talk about the day he got crucified, which was Good Friday, is it good that this government's killing my savior? I mean, God, I should be able to rise up and stop it. Mm-hmm. But the Roman government was the Roman government, and the Jews, for all I know about the Jews, they rather hire mercenaries to do their dirty work than do it themselves.
I don't know. What are you talking about specifically? This sounds like something
Jewish
historically you're talking
Jewish
about.
attitude was, especially with the Hasidic Jews, they do not fight.
Okay.
World War I proves that. Mm-hmm. And they do not, they follow the Tigam, thou shalt not kill, so there are no military duty and they don't fight.
Fucking makes sense to me.
But the new Jew or the new Israelite,
the Zionist,
they're totally different. Believe me, I have met some members of the Mossad.
That fucking area of the world's a bloodbath.
Oh, you kill one of them, they take 10 of you.
No shit.
And like I said, it's a 180-degree turn, and you ain't going to mess with them.
Yeah.
But they have to do that to stay alive.
100%. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm all for violence. I think violence is great. Okay? We need it. That's part of our nature as animals. But it's like Muhammad Ali said, Viet Cong ain't ever done nothing to me.
Right.
I'm not going to go commit violence at somebody else's behest because they're convinced that we need to eradicate a person or get in a fight.
Maybe we should be able to recognize ourselves for what we really are.
Well,
Are you capable of doing something? Well, I don't know. I've been taught not to do that. I've been taught when you were a kid, you say, you shouldn't fight.
yeah, unless an authority figure tells you to fight, then it's okay.
Oh, then you're using it for an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And if you fight in school, you get called to the principal office. Well, why did you hit the kid? Well, he spit in my face. Well, that's no excuse.
Yes, it is.
Then I'll spit in your face and see what you do.
I think that's the only excuse. If somebody's personally threatening you, that's when you go ahead and use violence.
But, like
But to do it because somebody else told you that you have to or that it's the right thing and it's completely depersonalized? Fuck that. And this fucking bullshit religious ideology is the reason why everybody goes along with that. How do you frustrate people's instincts? Well, first of all, you tell them that the one thing that everybody enjoys, sex, is fucking evil. That frustrates people automatically. And what do they have to do after that? They sublimate that sexual energy that they feel so guilty about, and they turn it into violence. And it's so easy, especially men. If men can't fuck, they want to fight. That's a really good mechanism.
Or they rape a woman.
Yeah, that too.
That's
and that's
another thing. That's
arguably more violent than
well,
fighting.
if you just look at the political scene today with these protests, you got some of these leftists, they get so frustrated, they're striking people, slapping the opposition, and they're supposed to be a peaceful demonstration.
Oh, yeah. You know, like punch a Nazi. Why do we hate Nazis so much? Oh, yeah, because they're fucking violent, so then go punch them. That makes sense. That makes sense.
But people have to look at themselves and what their inside tell them.
Yeah.
And what they're capable of doing. If you say, well, I can't do that, and you make an excuse for it, well, then you're dead. You can't, if you're not going to fight for yourself, fight for your family. You choose what to fight for.
So, I mean, if we look at Easter here, which was originally, of course, a pagan holiday, every Christian holiday comes from a pagan holiday. So it's believed that the word Easter originated with the name of the pagan goddess Ostara, who was an Anglo-Saxon goddess symbolizing spring. And what's springtime? Fucking. It's about being fertile, okay? And that's where the egg comes from. The festival of Ostara was celebrated on the vernal equinox, when there are equal periods of light and darkness. Now, the vernal equinox, of course, is around the 21st of March. So it's not necessarily in April, but, of course, from the Council of Nicaea, they went ahead and co-opted every pagan holiday.
Rabbits don't lay eggs. They give live birth.
Yeah, but that's kind of gross to look at, so we need a symbol. Yeah.
But so they lie to you and saying that rabbits lay eggs.
I don't think anybody actually believes rabbits lay eggs.
Chickens lay eggs.
They do. Okay. No, thank you.
But rabbits give live birth.
Interesting. Thank you for letting me know.
But so
and if anybody didn't know that already, they do not deserve you to tell them that.
Go on a farm.
But here's my point. So they took one of the most important celebrations from paganism, which were the fertility rites for the return of spring, the return of the crops. The animals come out of hibernation. They're fucking. They're about to have a new generation of offspring. And the closest thing that they can find in their religion is that guy that we nailed on a tree. He rose from the dead. And I said this once in one of my journals, but I think it's a brilliant quote, and it's a quote worth repeating. Death cults like Christianity not only rob you of your life, they also rob you of your death. Now, not only do you have to be miserable your whole life in order to be considered a good person, but they also tell you that death isn't something that you actually have to worry about. Look, Jesus came back from the dead. If you believe in him, you're going to have everlasting joy in heaven with God. So now you get to be miserable your whole life with the promise that after you die from your miserable fucking existence, you'll have all the joy and pleasure that you missed out on in life. How interesting. That's very convenient.
Give you hope.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
In the end, you're going to get everything you want to enjoy, but while you're here...
Fuck you. Do what I say. Yeah, right. Exactly.
You're in prison.
Yeah. And I just wanted to put this on the screen, too. I thought this was really cool. Ostara, it's not a Wiccan holiday. That's ridiculous. Wicca is like a brand new religion. It barely exists as far as time is concerned. But Ostara was in that show that I was watching the other night, American Gods, by Neil Gaiman. That's really good. But yeah, so here's supposedly this is an ancient representation of Ostara, and I guess that she was in some way equated with the owl, much like Sophia. Yeah. And that's why I decided to have the owl on the as our prop for the table today.
And that was before the Jewish religion and the Catholic Church.
Oh, far before. Far before.
By thousands of years?
By so many, yeah. I mean, and this is something that I've thought about quite a bit. I kind of feel like there's a primordial religion or a primordial esoteric system. And a lot of people like Manly Palmer Hall and anybody who was into theosophy or still is, theosophy was born in the late 19th, early 20th century, like Helena Blavatsky or William Walker Atkinson, they all theorized this primordial esoteric belief, this doctrine, or the dude who wrote the Golden Bough, because every single modern religion seems to have things that are in common with each other. And I feel like maybe that primordial religion was about learning how to exist beyond the death of the physical body. Kind of like the way that the ancient Egyptians were so obsessed with that. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, do we have an afterlife? When I get there, I'll let you know. I'll try to come back.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, everything that I've experienced for the last 13 years leads me to believe in the possibility. Before that, I would have said absolutely not, because I was very dogmatic about that. No, you rot in the ground, you're dead. Okay. But everything that I've experienced since 2012, when I started having out-of-body experiences, and I used to think all of that was bullshit, it is bullshit until you experience it. And then once you experience it, you start to reconsider, holy shit, maybe there's something to that. If I can float around without my body, maybe I can continue to do that once the body expires. And if you look at all the older that you get with these religions, it's all about sky people, and it's all about building culture, but there's this underlying current of learning about the separation of the self from the body, you know?
Yeah, our physical body has a time limit, but our spirit may go on forever.
It might. It's interesting. I am making absolutely no assertion, but it is something that I enjoy speculating about. And of course, because I am in the New World Order, as well as a few other organizations, some of which I am essentially sworn to secrecy about, I am privy to some information that leads me to believe perhaps that is the origin of spiritual practice, is to reclaim some sort of memory from the forgetfulness of incarnation and to learn how to exist after the desiccation of the physical vehicle. So it's just something I speculate about. But this whole death cult of be miserable your entire fucking life so that way you can enjoy infinite paradise after you die, it's a really evil concept, and it allows people to be controlled very easily.
So what's stopping you from enjoying yourself while you're alive in the body?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's against the law.
Or it's
immoral.
It's immoral, certainly.
Or it's unhealthy. Take your pick.
Right. Well, instead of celebrating spring and fecundancy and vitality and fertility, we have to celebrate some dude coming back from the dead, like a goddamn zombie, like Peter Griffin said in that Family Guy clip we just looked at.
No, like I said, if you want to enjoy your life and everything, go and do it, but you're going to offend somebody, and then the Lord's going to come down and say, "Oh, you can't do that." Well, I like 15-year-old girls. They're good virgins. So what if I'm 40? Oh no, that's against the law.
Harry, have you been looking into my internet search history again?
No, I don't care to. I got enough on my own plate. I like older stock.
Just joking.
I'm not.
Here's another good example of this is the holiday Walpurgisnacht. Okay, so this is a Catholic holiday that's celebrated on the eve of April 30th. Walpurgis night. I guess it has something to do with the Beltane fires. I don't know the entire history of this. It's supposed to be an evening in which witches are held to ride to an appointed rendezvous, which is, of course, what the witches' Sabbath. Okay,
yeah.
But where this holiday comes from, I think it's based on a saint. Yeah. Saint Walpurga. Okay, so here you go. The feast of Saint Walpurga, abbreviation Walpurgis night from the German, blah blah blah. Christians of Germany. Walpurga was successful in converting the local populace to Christianity. So, even this holiday, which is essentially a German holiday, I guess.
So the Catholic Church embroids a witch's holiday?
No, it's a story about a saint. Now, here's why they say that on Walpurgis night, the witches ride. It's because they were, once again, co-opting another pagan holiday. So what comes right after April 30th? May 1st.
May Day.
May Day! That's it.
Yeah.
And the maypole, and the celebration of fertility, and the masculine sexuality of the maypole. So once again, they co-opted May Day. They made it the Feast of Walpurgisnacht, but they couldn't get rid of the fertility rites overall, so then they went ahead and tried to scare everybody, say, yes, but on Walpurgis night, the witches ride. And what does a witch ride to the Sabbath? What does she ride?
On a broomstick.
And what do you think a broomstick fucking represents? Bing!
A penis?
It's a goddamn penis!
Oh, it's just
of course.
It's like the hat the Pope wears.
Well, that's a fish. That's actually a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there one that represents a penis?
Yeah, it looked like a penis.
I guess it could look like a penis. I always thought it looked like a fish.
The masculine thing.
Yeah, I guess. I always thought it looked like a fish because it was from the era of Pisces.
That witches are against God's law. When Solomon had a witch for a wife and he was celebrating pagan holidays or something like that.
I don't know enough about Solomon's wife. What I do know is that most Western mystical tradition that we get is from Solomon's the center of.
Right.
I mean, he's the center of Freemasonry. He's the center of all the ancient grimoires about summoning angels and demons and putting yourself in the protective circle, and all that shit comes from stories about Solomon, who supposedly built his temple with the help of 72 demons, And that's where we get the 72 demons of the Ars Goetia from. Those were the demons that Solomon imprisoned in a brass vessel to help him build his temple.
That's interesting.
So modern magicians, and I showed you my copy of the Goetia. I have the one that was edited and annotated by Aleister Crowley and MacGregor Mathers. So supposedly those are the 72 demons that Solomon used to help him build his temple. And magicians today who follow that esoteric tradition, they call upon the same names, the names of the same demons that Solomon supposedly held captive.
That sounds like my book from 1910, where the Jewish temple, they named angels too, and they put spells out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, in that tradition, there's the greater key of Solomon and the lesser key of Solomon. So the greater key of Solomon has the angelic names.
Yeah.
And then the lesser key has demonic names. So if you want to get anything done on earth in this life, because remember, physical life is evil, you have to call upon demons. But in order to call upon the demons and get them to serve you, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to evoke an angelic force first to help you control the evil demons that'll actually give you what you want in this life, whether it's money or food or women or, all the good stuff.
Sounds like Hollywood to me.
How does it sound like Hollywood?
All the movie stars, they thank Satan for their success.
Oh my God, I love the internet. Oh, Harry, that's because everybody famous and successful is a member of the New World Order. Now, I ask you, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Do they give allegiance to Satan because they're successful, or did they give their allegiance first and become successful afterward?
That I don't know.
I can tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to give your allegiance first, in case you were guessing.
No matter what it is, I'm not in that club.
So you're talking about when they show the celebrities doing this shit,
yeah,
and all that, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love that shit. People accuse even Joe Rogan of being in the New World Order and shit nowadays. Everybody successful is in a New World Order. It's just a matter of fact.
Well, if that's the case, then you got a big club.
Yeah, eventually I'll go ahead and get some of that success. I'll find my way. But I'm on the right path because now I am also a member of the Illuminati. So we're getting there, Harry. Onward and upward. We're getting there.
Good. When you get into your next life phase, go talk to Michelangelo.
Oh, you talking about the painter?
Yeah. And
the sculptor?
And compare notes with your painting. You deserve that.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to have a sit down with him. Da Vinci would be a great one. Probably the first one I'd want to talk to face to face, if I could, is probably Salvador Dali. I think he's been most inspirational to me. But yeah, Michelangelo and Rembrandt certainly. But their magic was so commonplace back when they were doing it. I don't know if they'd really understand my adulation. Certainly they knew they were good. Certainly they knew they were among the best. But their talent wasn't so uncommon back then. Their abilities, I should say, were not so uncommon back then that they would consider it very amazing. You know what I mean?
You think you could learn something from them?
Oh, 1,000%. That sort of thing isn't taught anymore. I mean, the guild system is dead. I told you about the guild system they used to have in the, Renaissance and pre-Renaissance.
As long as you can learn something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, also excellent quote, and I believe it was by Michelangelo. So maybe we'll leave off on this. Everybody talks about my supposed mastery as if it's a type of magic. If people understood how much work went into it, it wouldn't seem very magical at all.
No. Just a lot of effort.
It's a lot of effort. I always consider talent to be, it's just the love of something. Because even you could say, like, oh, you were born with artistic talent. It took me a long fucking time to learn how to do any of that shit. So the only thing I can equate with talent, maybe, is a love of the thing that keeps you doing it long enough to get really good at it.
You're all born with zero talent. And what you look to search for and you work at brings out the talent.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do, man.
Therefore, we're all equal when we're born. We're all equally stupid.
No, we're all different, but yeah, we're all equally stupid. I'll give you that.
So therefore, I don't care if you're black, yellow, purple, green, that you have no privilege rights in this world. There's no such thing as white privilege or black privilege or red privilege. You're all born the same. It's your effort that you put into whatever goes in your head. And you work at it, and you practice, and eventually you get to the top, or you don't get to the top. And if you still don't get to the top, you're still living. And that's what you got to do.
It's like Peter Griffin said. It doesn't matter if you're white or black or yellow or red. The only color that matters is green.
Yeah.
All right, Harry, what do you say we tie it up there? Is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah. Have a good Easter. Hope you learned something about your great holiday.
In your death cult.
Your death cult. And take it with a grain of salt. And please learn about what you actually practicing.
Yeah, especially the history.
If you want to, go ask your Catholic priest about some of this stuff. It will be interesting.
Yeah, it's always interesting debating those folks. All right, well, other than that, plugs. Once again, if anybody is interested in taking my final spot for the Mother's Day promotion, that's an 11x14 oil painting. Original and shipped to you by Mother's Day. Can be a portrait, landscape, portrait of her favorite pet, new grandkid, whatever. Follow the links in the description to my Facebook or Instagram and hit me up in a direct message. The deadline is the 25th. I'm going to go ahead and say midnight on the 24th. So, that's it. Other than that, Harry and I will be at the Gray Towers in Milford, Pennsylvania this Saturday, April 26th. Rain date is the 27th. You can find more information in the description underneath the video. I'm going to be working on a painting, and Harry's going to be convincing people that income taxes are illegal.
I'm just going to sit there as a piece of furniture. If they ask me, I'll give them information.
Dude, I was just fucking with you. You know that, right?
I am not.
I'm just worried about you. I'm just worried about you running after people across the field.
Let's say if we get a visit by certain government officials flashing a gold badge and say they want to talk to me. Then you'll see Mr. Hyde come out.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, come on out. I'll have some prints for sale. I'll be working on a painting. Harry will have some information for sale, as well as some shungite items, handmade shungite items. So come on out. It's completely free. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the New World Order broadcast. And just remember, we're watching you too.
Someone is watching. There are strangers.